Greetings, friends, and welcome back to the festive 3-minute horror show. My name is Ben, your host, and I love horror movies. In fact, I watch the bad movies so that you don't have to. You're welcome. Today I'll be reviewing the movie Elves from 1989. This is an elf movie? I'm wearing an elf shirt. In this movie, a young woman accidentally summons an evil elf into existence, and then discovers that she's part of a Nazi experiment to create super people by procreating with elves. And Grizzly Adams is there to help her survive the ordeal. This movie was written and directed by a fellow named Jeff Mandel, who appears to have been active for a short period of time between the late 80s and the early 90s, but I've never heard of anything else that he's worked on before. Elves is not currently streaming here in Canada, so you'll have to find yourself a copy. A young lady named Kirsten, who is the offspring of her Nazi grandfather and his daughter, yeah, I know that's gross, is apparently the perfect human specimen to mate with an evil supernatural elf and create a superior life form.
My cat is the only friend I have left.
She works at the snack counter at the local mall, and she's miserable because she hates Christmas. Kirsten and her pal decide to do a pagan anti-Christmas ritual in the woods, which is stupid because Christmas has its roots in paganism, and she accidentally cuts her hand. When her blood hits the ground, it wakes up an evil demon elf, and he's ready to make mischief. Mischief meaning kill people and mate with Kirsten. Better elves than elves. The movie. This elf is an elf that makes cookies in a tree. How do you run a bakery out of a house that's made completely out of wood? That's a fire hazard. This elf sucks at making toys, and he wants to be a dentist instead. This elf is an expert with a bow, and he used to be engaged to Katy Perry. This elf is a very logical space elf that also sang a rockin' song about Bilbo Baggins. This elf is Buddy the Elf from the movie Elf, and if you don't love him, I don't know what to say to you.
It's fine.
After the Santa at the mall is killed by the elf, Grizzly Adams is hired as the new Santa, and he is constantly smoking cigarettes. Every scene. He often has a whole carton of Camel sitting next to him that he just rips into. He's a disgraced former detective who was thrown off the force due to his alcoholism, and he's homeless. He sneaks back into the mall every night after it's closed, and then sleeps in the storage room. I guess they didn't have a security guard. If they did have a security guard, they probably would have stopped Kirsten and her pals from sneaking in to have an overnight party in the mall. Dan Haggerty was a big beefy dude that was born in Pound, Wisconsin, but grew up in Burbank, California. He got his start being cast as background bodybuilder characters in movies, and moved on to stunt work from there. He also helped build all of the motorcycles in the movie Easy Rider. He had a lot of experience with animals for some reason, and he got hired on by the Walt Disney Company as an animal handler and trainer in the early 70s. This led to his casting as Grizzly Adams in the 1974 movie The Life and Times of Grizzly Adams. Grizzly Adams was a burly mountain man that lived out in the forest with a bear. Everyone loved this movie, and it went on to become a TV series that lasted 2 years in the late 70s. As time progressed though, the roles slowed down, and Haggerty got himself into some trouble. He had a drug arrest in the mid-1980s, and he was left in a coma for several days after a terrible motorcycle accident in 1991. Later, he lost his wife in a different motorcycle accident in 2008. Finally, he passed away from spinal cancer in 2016. He had some trouble, but I'll always remember him as a big tough guy who loved nature, and as this guy who's standing with Eric Estrada smuggling plums.
Oh my.
Grizzly Adams finds the girl in the mall, and while neither party is happy that the other is there, they're all committing a crime, so oh well. The boys who are coming to the party are disposed of by the Nazis, who are breaking into the mall to kidnap Kirsten, so they can make her procreate with the elf. Luckily, she's able to escape with Grizzly Adams. Unluckily, though, her friends are not. The two survivors team up to defeat the elf, the Nazis, and anything else that stands in their way, before midnight on Christmas Eve, when the elf will force her into an unholy copulation. First off, let me say that I fully understand that this movie is a cult classic. Unfortunately, though, it didn't hit right for me. The only person who seemed to be trying in this movie was Dan Haggerty, and he was doing this machismo asshole act through the whole thing that I just wasn't buying. Also, I think they must have paid him in cigarettes because he was smoking through the entire movie. There was also something off-putting about the sitcom soundtrack that was playing over most of the scenes. That being said, it is super weird, and I can fully see enjoying this with some friends and some drinky poos. Whoa! You love it or you hate it, I rate Elves a 5 out of 10. As always, a link to my Letterboxd appears in the video's description. Please leave me a like, comment, and subscribe, as it really does boost my engagement, helps my channel grow. Smell you later, nerds!
You want me to put my ass on the line?
Oh, that would be a switch.